What's up, my family? Listen, first-time listener, or you've been here the whole damn time. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, giddy up, let's go, no notes.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Slap.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah!
What the f*** are you talking about?
Boy, I can't get over that introduction. And what's up with the no notes thing? I need notes. Listen, I'm old. I need notes. I don't know what Tom is talking about. I need notes, all these numbers and names and shifts and all that kind of stuff. I need my notes. So we're just going to have to use notes. We're using notes here. This is A2D Radio. This is vetted. Yep, yes. With Irving Fryar and Big Dog Hollis Thomas. Yes. Big Dog Hollis Thomas has been hanging out at Royal Billiard Recreation, and he has something to tell you.
Yeah, it's the coolest place for all of your game room and man cave toys and needs. It's family owned. It's a family owned business, and they're proudly celebrating 41 years of being the most ballin' ass gaming store in the Delaware Valley. It's located on is Comer, Pennsylvania, or you could go on royalbilliards.com because and order from things like pool tables, shuffleboard, card tables, billiard accessories, dart supplies. I can't play darts that well. We discussed that before. Bars, and bar stools. They have a bar stool that as soon as we get out there, I'm gonna have to put Irving in it. It's fit for a king. It lays back. It's so cushiony and it's soft. And if your muscles are hurting, they will make it hot for you with the ball and ass spread of hot tubs out there for your soaking and for your soaking pleasure. So just go out there to Royal Billiards and Recreation, or go on royalbilliards.com. Tell them you heard it on A2D Radio. Tell them that the tank sent you, and tell Marty I said what's up. Marty's the French bulldog.
Marty, yeah. Make sure you visit Marty. Make sure Marty. Don't ignore Marty.
He's a cool pet. It was like he was following me all around. I think he thought I had snacks. And we was talking about them not having lunch for me.
Right. Did you go out there this week?
No, I didn't get a chance. We had 2 games in less than 7 days.
Well, I understand. This has been a crazy week. Can you imagine? I mean, this is week 3 already. A little less than a month ago, we were griping and complaining because it was taking too long for the season to start. Now we're 3 weeks into the season. Before we know it, it's going to be December, and the season's going to be pretty much over. Man, it's flying by. It is exciting. It is exciting.
Yes, it's like the one thing is like what our esteemed colleague and guest I was hanging with him, and we took a ride into the town of Intercourse. It was near Blue Ball. We took the horse and buggy ride.
That's amazing out there with the Amish people that they got Intercourse and Blue Ball out there with the Amish.
My buddy,
that's like an oxymoron, huh?
I know, big time. They taught us a lot, and they welcomed us out there, and I appreciate the time out there. Pete, Davey, and all the guys. Apparently, I was a pretty good hit. I still got my hat. Is over there. They gave me an Amish hat, so it's pretty. I wore it today outside, and it was pretty funny watching everybody react to a big giant black guy with the Amish hat on.
Amish hat on, yeah. But you look, all you had to do is put a black suit on, and you got the beard. You'd have fit right in.
Well, that's what they were saying too. So.
Yeah. And I saw your post. You posted the big butt of a horse. Horse's butt. What was that?
Well, we were riding along, and that was the view. I was up front, and it was the horse is behind. Yeah, she was going. And then she was spitting. I was trying to catch her. She would go off to the side, and it was spit. I was like, man, is it raining out here? And but it was her spitting, and that's why I'm glad the big dog always carries a towel. Always carries a towel. So between that and then I thought you were gonna. We didn't get the. She broke wind. She farted like nobody's business.
Wow!
But the tail came up, and I'm glad I didn't get that on tape because wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's wow.
Wow, just wow.
But
Listen.
was one of the things that I learned too. I learned that animals sweat like the dickens when they're forced to pull somebody that likes my size. Because when we got her back, I had never seen the horse sweat through their fur, and I saw her veins and stuff. She was quite vascular.
Wow. Yeah. Horses do sweat.
Yeah.
And I'm sure particularly when they're pulling someone, like you said, that is of your size.
She enjoyed it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm sure she did. Only if the horse could talk. She would let us know. Yeah. Well, listen, our agree to disagree today, and we're going to talk a little bit about this right here at the beginning, is AJ Brown will catch the first pass against the Buccaneers this week. He's going to catch the first pass. And
why do you think that?
Well, I think that. I say that because after he had his little temper tantrum on the field last week,
go ahead. I had something to ask you about that.
The next 3 balls were thrown his way on the field. And and today during the press conference with the Eagles, he finally addressed it. Now, after the game, you know, he left and he didn't talk to the media. He didn't say anything about it. He left Coach Sirianni to have to address it. He left Jalen Hurts to have to address it. Right. And they spoke very lightly of it. They said it wasn't anything. Said it was nothing to be concerned about, just emotions on the field, so on and so forth. But AJ Brown didn't say anything, and he didn't say anything about it until today. And then he said today that it was nothing, that it was just emotions, you know, just one of those things. Yes, you know, and it didn't have anything to do with wanting the ball or anything like that. For me, here's my question. Okay, you say that it wasn't anything, and we pray that it doesn't turn into anything. Correct. Because we don't want division in the team. We don't want, you know, things to get sour between players on the team. We want this team to be successful, particularly in the passing game. But he said that it was just emotions, but it was really nothing. Okay, but it was so emotional for him that obviously he could not address it. He said he left after the game because he could not address it after the game because he was too emotional. And it took him 3-4 days to address it.
But the one thing that I often crack up about is, you know, there's cameras everywhere. And when we played, you could have got some of us arguing back and forth about play calling and just things in general. You could have got so much stuff. It's like, I think it's too much accessibility to what's going on. It's like you think that we're not going to always get along. Gonna be, and there's not going to be no dissension in the ranks. You yell at each other on the field in the heat of battle, and you move on from it. Right.
Well, I look at it from 2 different ways. This particular incident, because they're living or playing in a different dispensation of time, and everybody has cameras. They even have that camera over the field that swoops down and, you know, it catches everything. They'll have the camera right behind you running down the field with you. So there's cameras everywhere. They catch everything. So because they're in a different dispensation of time, then yes, we do get overheated. Yes, we do get excited. Yes, emotions do get high. And sometimes we lose a little bit of our control, but that you have to be aware of that. And that should never happen, in my opinion. Should never happen on the field. Right. If you have an issue with how many balls you're getting thrown, and I don't have a problem with that. You want all of us as receivers, we want the ball, particularly if a guy on the other side catching balls and doing well and he's shining and I'm not catching any ball. Oh, no. You got to get me involved. But there's a place and a time.
I see what you're talking about now.
Yeah, there's a place and a time.
I see that. I got the game going, and I saw. It was one particular play that I know he's talking about. He threw his head up, but he ended up throwing it over kind of in the double coverage to the Devontae Smith. Right. And there would have been a touchdown for AJ Brown, uncontested. So,
but it also happened after AJ Brown. Devontae Smith caught that long touchdown pass.
Right.
That's when he started getting animated on the sideline. So you gotta be careful of that, because that can always now you got to answer questions about stuff that you really don't need to be answering questions about.
Right.
Then the other thing is you got to address it after the game.
Right.
You know, if you're going to do it out there, if you're going to be animated, you're going to express yourself and your emotion. You know, your emotions you got a little emotional, got a little out of control, and you got animated on the field. Coach came over and had to settle you guys down. You even told the coach, never mind. You could read his lips and read his body language. Don't punk out and leave after the game and go home and leave your teammate and your coach to have to address it.
True.
At least be man enough to address it, and then it would have been squashed. But it remained a subject all week long because A.J. Brown did not address it until today. Now, hopefully it's squashed and it's gone. But still, you got, like me, I'm talking about it. Well, what if it wasn't all that, then why did it take you so long to address it? If it wasn't all that, then why did you have to leave after the game? Because you knew you were so emotional, you might say the wrong thing.
Well, because
something.
Because it was in the heat of the battle. It was the heat of the moment. Telling me where I
understand that, but you stayed mad for 4 days, so it was something more than what you're saying. Okay, that's what it leads me to believe. Yeah. But we'll see. This is the second time it happened.
Yeah,
okay. It's the second time it happened.
You are correct. Because I was going to ask you that question: Had you ever had to get in your quarterback's ass about not seeing you open?
No, I didn't. When I first came to Philadelphia, John Gruden and I had a conversation before I signed that I was going to be the go-to guy. I was going to be number one guy. Now, you know, Chris T. Jones was here in Philly at the time, going into his second year. He had a great rookie year. Everybody was touting him to have a great career in the NFL.
Correct.
But we made it clear that I was going to be one, he was going to be two. So my first game with the Eagles is funny. I don't know who it was against, but my first game with the Eagles and Chris T on the other side came out of that game. Chris T had caught more balls than me and had more yards than me. So I quietly, after, game was over, went home. Monday morning, I showed up quietly at Gruden's door. Listen, dude, I didn't come here to be second. I came here to be the guy. So make it happen. Fix it. From that day forward, next game and all the other games, nobody caught more balls than me as wide receiver. So there's a time and a place to do it. You don't have to do it in public. I don't know. I don't know what the problem was. I saw what the problem was.
Well, he was a little open. He was a little bit more open than Devontae.
And that's fine. But
and I'm talking about way open.
I know when it happened, it didn't happen until Devontae caught that second long ball and scored that touchdown. Then he really got in his feelings and made it known. So I believe, because after that happened, they went on the field, and now you got your quarterback mindful. Okay, I got to throw him the ball. And then Devontae caught a ball in there somewhere. I'm thinking Devontae's thinking, don't throw the ball to me.
No.
Yeah, throw it to him, because he. So it can cause problems. It can cause problems. It really can, because the next three balls, I'm telling you, were thrown to AJ Brown.
Yeah, and
he's gonna catch the first ball against the Buccaneers. Watch.
Yeah,
first ball is gonna be thrown to him.
Either him or Dallas Goedert.
Well, Dallas is not that kind of cat. I don't see Dallas as, and I don't ever see Devontae doing that either, because there are many games, most of the games, where AJ Brown's, the guy, and he's catching more balls than Devontae. Although over the course of the season, Devontae caught more balls than AJ last year. I think Devontae caught 95 and AJ Brown caught 88. So he did end up catching more balls than, but he didn't do that like to right at the end. That's when he passed him right at the end of those last couple of games. In catches, but they were pretty much even. But you never see Devontae, because there's games when Devontae is going to shine. There's games when AJ Brown is going to shine. And the only thing that should matter right now with this team, because they've all been touted as stars. They've been touted, the combination of the two of them, as one of the top duos and receivers in the league. So everybody's got their accolades. Everybody's got the pat on the back. The only thing that matters right now is winning the games and getting to the Super Bowl. And that should be the
and a second commercial that should be coming up right about now.
Yep. that matters right now.
That matters right now.
When it's done, it won't matter anymore.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ralph.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, proudly celebrating 40 years and our new, bigger showroom.
Twice the size and twice the fun.
More pool tables by Olhausen. More dartboard sets, including custom reclaimed backboards. More bar and kitchen stools that can change a room.
And more bars, including pre-built and custom.
Hot tubs, skee ball, shuffleboard, outdoor,
and fun.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, your ultimate game room store. Now located on Bethlehem Pike in Colmar.
We got to set a day aside to go by there, man.
Yes, we do.
I got to spend some time out there. That looks like fun.
It is awesome.
It's awesome. Awesome sauce.
Awesome sauce.
Awesome sauce. So, Eagles win 34-28. The 2-0. Won their last game against the Vikings. All kinds of talk still about this offense or team, period, not being on track, starting slow, kind of got not lucky, so to speak, but if they don't get things together and get some kind of rhythm going, that, as they progress into the season, teams are getting tougher. We got one coming up this week on Monday night, Tampa Bay, that's playing pretty well. Why don't you go ahead and talk about the Vikings game. What was your assessment of that and the areas maybe of concern or maybe not?
It was no real areas of concern. It was the pig-headedness of the offensive coordinator, not knowing that we had to run the ball and tire opposing pass rushes down before we become that dominant offense. It's like you dominated, you pushed them around, and you let them know. My only concern is him trying to make us out of something that we're not. We are a juggernaut of offense, but it's a way to get to that. We got the guys on the outside, but if the other team is looking for us to do that, and we're not tearing them down or putting them on notice that you don't know what we're going to do, we let them dictate to us what we could and couldn't do because we weren't running the ball. Once we start running the ball and got that second, got them starting to rotate, starting to huff and puff. Now that was when it was time for. We went up top a couple of times, and we still put them on notice that we was going to do what we want to do when we could do it. The other thing, it was only one other concern was the secondary, the youngness of the secondary.
Yes.
And I talked with Dawkins, and he'll attest to this when he was on. We were talking about the non-communication without Blankenship out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I didn't hear it like the offense when we played. We were taught to, as a defensive line, taught to say pass and ball when the ball came out of the quarterback's hand.
Okay.
I don't hear none of that when I'm down outside. I don't hear any of that, and it makes it hard for a guy, especially a young guy that's out there playing, to know when the ball is coming because you're playing against the best of the best, and they don't show their hand until the last minute.
Right.
Either Addison, the young Addison kid who caught the ball and Job was in a proper position, but he just didn't make a play on the ball. And then the mental error in the red zone defense at one time when Job, I was like, come on, dude, let that guy just run across the entire formation, not knowing anything. Just let him run by itself. Didn't even say anything to say, hey, get him. And so
can you say that on defense?
Yeah, hey, get him right back. It's like so. But other than that, I think. So a lot of people were talking the same crap about, it's going to come back to bite us in the ass. I was like, well, not if we keep kicking ass early on, because it's hard to catch up. And I think the way that we're winning is like I said about the first game, it wasn't pretty, but the W is sexy.
It's right.
It's like
win is a win.
It's easier. It's easier to make those corrections when you win a game versus when you don't win a game. Those corrections come out harsh. It's like it's easier to make those corrections and let them know that's the type of stuff that can get you beat. But it's easier to make those corrections after a victory. It's like the guys are more inclined because you want a good sound. You want to kick another team's ass, but it's early in the season and we haven't hit that stride yet. It's like I like the fact that we win it and we still haven't hit our stride.
Right.
Still a little bit rusty. And
that's a plus.
But when you look at it, I don't like Kirk Cousins sucks, but he's gonna make some plays, especially during the regular season. And they got and Justin Jefferson and all those guys. They got guys over there who make plays. So I'm waiting. And Evans showed up a little bit this week. the secondary. I didn't like what he did the first week because I kept seeing the back of his jersey. This week he was able to come up with a big time play. Him and Evans.
And Evans,
It was what a pretty victory.
Well, Brian Daly says ugly wins count just the same as a pretty win. Yep, they sure do. A win is a win. It almost, the game almost remind me of about 2 years ago when Sirianni came in and we found out that Jalen Hurts had the starting job, but everybody, what's going to happen with this guy? We don't know anything about him. Is he going to be able to handle it? And they were trying to figure out what this offense was going to be. And then, they were trying to throw the ball. Everybody was complaining. And then all of a sudden, about 3-4 games into the season, they started running the ball.
Right.
And that was the foundation. And that elevated them all the way through the rest of the season, made it to the playoffs, lost in the playoffs to Tampa Bay. Yeah. But at least they had established an identity. And that seemed like that's what happened on Thursday night with the Vikings. Particularly with Brian Johnson, trying to figure out what's happening, what defenses are doing, and then understanding that, okay, in our passing game, we're not being effective, but we do have a running back. And I don't know if they knew, and I didn't know. I didn't know DeAndre Swift was all that, man. I saw some stuff from him Thursday, and we both were at the game. You up in the press box with the big wigs. I was down in the end zone with the bottom dwellers. But we both saw that we were at the game. I didn't see that kind of stuff and I didn't watch DeAndre Swift last year other than the game that he played against the Eagles, and he had a good game against the Eagles last year. But man, I didn't know he had all of that in his repertoire. Well, he is. I mean, we don't want him to continue to get 28, 30 carries a game. Yeah, we do. But no, I don't think not with the other guys we have. You had to give him that because he was feasted. If he's feasted, But we don't want him to run the ball 28 times every game. We got too many other guys in the corral. Basically, we don't want to beat him down.
Yeah, we don't. Not only that, we don't want to beat him down. We want to be able to hold the lead as a defense and get the ball back to our offense and get some of the other guys the opportunity to carry the ball carry the rest of the way through. I can see that, and it's like the one thing that I think that Brian Johnson was trying to do was trying to appease the people upstairs. You got to, in order for you to pass, you still have to run the ball first because a fresh defensive lineman that they can see the offensive line in the pass stance.
And you know what?
It's way worse than when after you ran the ball a couple times, they don't know exactly what you're doing.
I for the defensive line, the Eagles defensive line, you talk about Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. Those cats were on it, man. They were on it. Even Cox Cox at the latter part of the game, he was putting pressure on the quarterback. Sweat is a beast. He is a beast, man. I'm watching this cat from the end zone, and he's at the top of his game right now. I don't know if there's anybody in the league, even like a Bosa, who can rush the passer like him and havoc like he's doing. I mean, we got Micah Parsons out in Dallas, who's a entity all in his own. But
but he's a linebacker. He's a smaller guy.
Sweat is the man.
He's like 260.
My concern is our defensive. Well, linebackers on back. Yeah. That's my concern. We have trouble defending the middle of the field, and we have trouble defending the deep ball. Let me give you a stat right now. Okay. The Eagles are number one. Mm-hmm. This is offensive. They're number one in the fewest passes completed over 10 yards, and they're number one in passes over 10 yards allowed in the first 2 weeks of the season. So, and it's amazing that we're 2-0.
Well, it's not. You know what? It's not amazing because we jump out to a leading. When you jump out to a lead, they have to throw the ball. Well, and they're going to make some plays. And the other part too is we were down a safety and a corner. I was like, we had mostly rookies out there, and the guys who are playing for the first time in the Eagles uniform. And
it's going to be that way again this week.
Now we got Bradbury's coming back.
You sure Bradbury's coming back? Yeah. I just looked at the report today. That's questionable. Yeah.
That's to mess with the opposing team.
Okay. Well, they messed with me because I know I was questioning it because he had a concussion. So I'm like, okay, he's been a week. It's been 11 days. He should be all right.
Well, yeah, you still put questionable up there to mess with the opposing team.
Yeah,
you don't give them nothing until you have to.
And the gamblers too. You want to keep.
Not so much the gamblers. It's
keep
the
line straight.
You don't want to give the opposing team nothing until you have to give it.
Right. But I mean, the opposing teams know better than I know. That he's got a concussion. He's more than likely 11 days later he's going to be back. Actually, it's more than 11 days because he missed the second game.
He missed the second.
Yeah. So it's more than 11 days. So yeah, he'll be back.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got a big task.
So I don't think it's a big task. I think this is going to be a bit of a revenge game for our guys because
you think so?
For our offense, especially. Our defense, not so much because defense, offensively, they still just got Godwin and Mike Evans, and they didn't really offensively kick our ass like but their defense beat the crap out of our offense. and it's like one of those things where it's like we remember the playoffs, we remember everything. Remember the playoffs? Remember the first game during the regular season? That was when they was a bit younger. And this is one of those coming to age type games. It's like this is a team that you should beat. Baker Mayfield does not scare me. Their offense.
No, Baker. I'm surprised they're 2-0 because when I think of Baker Mayfield, I don't think of a starting quarterback. I don't see a starting quarterback in the NFL. I think of a journeyman quarterback who goes from team to team and is a backup and comes in every now and then and wins 1 or 2 games maybe during the season if he has to. That's when you say Baker Mayfield, that's what I see. I said Baker Mayfield. I was in the church yesterday and I mentioned to a guy that Baker Mayfield is going to be playing the quarterback against the Eagles. He said, Curtis Mayfield? I said, no, not Curtis Mayfield, Baker Mayfield.
Well, the thing is they haven't been like scoring a tremendous amount of points, and he's not been doing that. That great. Their defense is still.
They got 10 sacks. They got 10 sacks already.
Exactly. Their defense is, and that's why I say this is a good thing for especially our quarterback and our offensive coordinator because Ty Bowles he had the formula to kick our ass the last 2 times.
I was going to say that We're getting baptized by fire. Brian Johnson is because he got Belichick, then he got Flores, now he's got Todd Bowles to call plays against. Yeah. And listen, Jalen is not seeing the field the way he saw the field last year.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet. He's got to crack the code. They still got to crack the code. When he cracks the code, but right now, and people have to remember, this is Jalen's really his 3rd year.
Yeah.
His 3rd year as a starter. So he hasn't seen everything as a quarterback. And so there are things. I watched that interception that he threw in the first half.
Oh, yeah.
First quarter against the Vikings. I was behind him in the end zone.
And who was open?
I saw who was not open. What happened was the safety was at the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
And when the ball was snapped, the safety dropped back in the middle of the field, and he read Jalen's eyes, and he went to the ball, and Jalen didn't see him. Right. He didn't see him at all because before he threw the ball, when he wound up to throw it, I'm like, don't throw it there because there's 3 people over there, and he threw it there. So obviously he didn't see him. So things are happening that Jalen is not seeing. Defensive coordinators are doing things that he has not seen before. He will catch up. He will crack the code. But right now, he's pretty hesitant. And after that interception, there were a few times I'm watching him because I watched the game again today. There are a few times he's holding on to the ball and he's very hesitant to throw it. He hates when he throws an interception. He hates when he makes a mistake. And that interception caused him to be hesitant a few more times. And that probably was one of the things that A.J. Brown was talking about. But Jalen was being overly cautious. And then defenses are also taking away his lanes. When he's got that RPO and he keeps the ball, there's somebody that meeting him at the end of the line of scrimmage, which wasn't there last year.
And the fact that he got it in order for the RPO to work like he wants it to work, he's got to get the ball to and they got to, like, if he'd have pulled it out after Swift started going, he probably would have hit his head on the goalpost. But you have to start
running game.
Yeah, you have to start off forcing them to respect the running game. The one thing that I don't think we witnessed yet. I think this is going to be the game that Hassan Reddick just gets off. I think somebody said it in the comments. But I think this is going to be one of the games where he gets he handles his business.
Well, doesn't he have a bad thumb?
Yeah, nobody. He don't care about that.
He doesn't use his thumb in his rush. He doesn't use it to grab, or he doesn't use his thumb in his technique when he's rushing. I thought he uses his hands.
No one for the other side. Yeah, it's in the cast. It's a club.
Yeah, I know. So if it's in a cast, he can't really use his thumb.
Yeah, but he uses the one on the other hand.
I know, but it's better to have two hands.
Yeah, I know. But when you're mad, you only need one hand to slam somebody down.
Yeah, okay. All right. We know Hassan is not one of the biggest guys out there.
No, but he
uses his athleticism and his quickness.
Yeah.
He's strong, definitely strong, but I think just he hasn't been flashing right now because he's got that cast on his hand, and he uses his hand to get by defenders when he's rushing. So when his hand does get better, I think he'll be less hindered and he'll be a little bit more effective. But again,
I think he still got his fingers, so I think this is gonna be his game.
You think so?
Yeah, it's gonna be nice and toasty down there. They got those offensive tackles that suck. Baker Mayfield gonna be trying to run away from everybody. Pow! Right to kiss her.
My concern is not the defense. I don't think Baker Mayfield's all that. I mean, I know Evans had a good game.
Evans and Godwin.
And Godwin did okay.
Those are threats. So
right. Those are threats.
Big time threats.
Big time threats. But I think we'll be okay because I think we'll be able to put pressure on Baker. And Baker is one of those cats, when you do start putting pressure on him and things do start going bad for him, he will make more mistakes on top of that. But you got to be cautious. You got to be aware of the fact that Tampa Bay is 2-0 and they are playing well right now. And that defensive line, they got, what's that guy's name? Was it Vita Vea?
He can't move. He's
Vita Vea?
Mr. Molasses, get out of here.
Listen, Joe Tyrone, Tryon, what's that he says? Shonikai. How you say his last name? Say his name. You know his name. Say his name.
Which one?
Well, Joe Tryon Shonikai.
I don't know.
You don't know that? Yeah.
I don't know that guy.
He's got two sacks. Had two sacks last week against the Bears. Then Shaq Barrett. Shaq Barrett had a sack and a pick six.
Yeah, Shaq Barrett is different. The other guy who had two sacks. Have you seen the Bears offensive line?
Well, I'm just saying like we all know. We talk about Dallas now. People are talking about Dallas being the best team in the league right now because they played the Giants, they played the Jets. Okay, you're supposed to, if you're good, you're supposed to beat those teams like that because they're beneath you. So if he's going against a defensive or offensive lineman that's beneath him, he's supposed to dog him and shake him like a rag doll. Isn't that what you did?
That's what I do. I prayed on the week. If you lined up in front of me, I was whooping you like cornbread batter.
Like cornbread batter. Yeah. Boy, I love you, man.
Dawkins is ready for us to talk to him.
Yeah, y'all. It is time, and it's a treat as it always is when he comes on. So it's time for Dawk Talk, y'all. Stay tuned for Dawk Talk, featuring Hall of Famer Brian Dawkins, brought to you by Royal Billiard Recreation, Carlino's Italian Market, and Philly Sports Trips.
What's happening, gentlemen?
He's in the house. What's going on, B?
I'm blessed, brother. You know that. 100% blessed.
Blessed by the best.
Look, you recover from our shenanigans.
Yes, I did. I was dog tired, boss.
Yeah, man.
Especially towards the end. I don't know what you was doing, but every kid came over there and wanted me to pick them up and take a picture with them.
That's your fault.
No, Brian sent him over there to you. He sent him over.
He was busy signing autographs, and all of a sudden I picked the one kid up, and then the other kid was like, "Do me now, do me." I was like,
that's what I said. That's your fault. You started.
Well, B, what you got for us today?
Oh man. No. Well, first of all, talk about the game a little bit.
Okay.
Some of the things that I saw. Me and Hollis talked about some of these things, and I guess one of the things you have to also recognize is it's one thing to be in the room when plays are being called, It's a completely different thing to call the plays for the players, right? So there is some learning still going on. So you have to be patient, and the players are going to have to be patient with that process, because again, he's learning how to then best utilize Jalen. And as far as defenses are concerned, last week, like, and Irv, you heard I was on here and I heard you say it. It's important to understand that yes, he's still a young quarterback,
right?
And so defenses will be able to confuse him from time to time. And that's what they did a phenomenal job last week of showing one thing and going to cover zero, or showing cover zero and going to cover two. Like, when you see those things, so they're going to have to play with the snap count a little bit better, not be so predictable when it comes to the snap count, in order for the defenses not to be able to disguise like they're doing and dropping out late. That's one thing I see that they need to do. And this team, the reason why this team got to where it got to last year is because of the running attack, period. We talked about it, Hollis. Like, they started off the first 7 games throwing the ball like they didn't have a running game. In the last 7 to 8 games, they ran it like they didn't have a passing attack, right? And then that offensive line is possibly the best, if not the best, in the game of football. So why would not you allow them to do what they do best? Grind the team out. And now they know that you're going to punch them in the mouth. They're getting a little fatigued. Now you begin to open it up, right? And as far as the little argument on the side, I guess the thing that I would say about that is that's going to happen. Like, frustrations happen in the game. And, for me, thinking about some of the times that, let's say, Mike Lewis got a couple more blitzes than I did, right? He was making plays and I didn't make no plays, right? Like, you feel some type of way. Now, you're happy with the fact that my dude is making his plays.
Right.
Like, yeah, Jim, how about you call my number, dog? Like,
yes.
But again, it's not something that I vocalize, because I understand, okay, this is maybe that he's wide open. He sees something, and I trust Jim when it's all said and done. Now, as far as these guys are concerned, the last thing I would say about this is that if anything breaks out on the field, they notices, and they do. It was me that I have to answer questions. Right. I have to be available to answer those questions, to go ahead and go. I never wanted to answer anything that I had done on the field. So if I've done something or said something, then I want to make sure that I answer it, so my teammates does not have to answer those things. So those are the kind of the things that I picked up that I wanted to talk about just a little bit.
Yep. I agree. I said the same thing. You got to be accountable. Just don't, and that just raises other questions. When you don't address it and you come back later and then you say it wasn't a big deal. Well, then why did it take you so long? Why'd you have to leave? Because you thought you were going to say something out of character if it wasn't a big deal. And again, so it just raises other questions. Just
raises other questions, but also again, when you are one of the leaders of the team, period, right? When you are one of the leaders, more is expected of you.
That's right.
So maybe somebody else wouldn't have had to done it. If I could use it in a proper sentence. But you, as a leader, one of the main individuals on the team,
with the C on your chest,
you have to step up to have that conversation. Even if you don't feel like, even if you're still like, germinating inside, sit in your locker, take some deep breaths, right? And as the media department always told us, Hollis, told you the same thing, Irv.
Yes.
Anticipate the questions that are coming your way, right? Understand that they're about to ask you these things to be able to have the right answers to say back. But again, it's that accountability thing. Like, I'm going to hold myself to this standard, being a leader, to show not just the media and the fans, but my teammates. Like, this is who you have, who you voted as a captain. This is the type of character he has.
Right. And then, like you said, I mean, to whom much is given, much is required. Because guess what? Quez Watkins would have never done anything like that.
He had earned the right to do that, though.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. You're right.
It was that Doc, when we and you were together, we talked about the communication that we don't hear going on. Talk about that a little bit, because I was trying to explain to Irv how we communicated when we were on the defense. Nobody kept secrets. Me and you were talking about this, and you brought it up. You was like, you didn't see anybody communicating.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. From what I can read and ascertain from that this past week, that I read that Blankenship was the individual who they thought about giving the microphone to for the defense to be called through, right? So that means that he's a major communicator on the football field. And oftentimes in that situation, other guys around begin to depend on the signal caller way too much. Instead of like having it for yourself, knowing what's coming, like you depend on the signal caller a little bit too much. And when that signal caller all of a sudden goes out of the game, now it's like crickets. Somebody go in motion, right? And everybody's, and sometimes you'll notice guys are like hands are up in the air like this right here, like what's the call? So a quiet defense is a bad defense, and if you cannot communicate and anticipate things happening, right, it's going to be tough for you as a guy coming in, and you're fresh off the bench, you're still learning on the job, and you already have some anxieties going on, and now you don't have anybody talking to you at all. Oh my goodness! You have gone to survival mode, like you're trying to survive downs then, and you do not want to do that as a defense. So to me, that's one of the things that showed up greatly in this game, because it was a whole bunch of conversations after the play. Happens, and you get three guys. And they're pointing and they're talking. So that means that there's not communication going on right now. Hopefully they'll fix that. And so that's one of the other pluses about this, is that when you lose games and you still have these glaring things to talk about, you're much happier correcting these things after a victory than after a loss, right?
Yeah,
so that's the plus about this thing.
Right. They're not playing well, but they're still winning.
No, I was just gonna say the funniest thing when you talk about the communication. Now realize why Jim. Remember all the drills we used to do? You had to be paying attention, and you had to say if everybody didn't clap and say break or call out something, we started the whole drill over. And then it's like you don't realize what he's training you to do until you see somebody not doing it and it's not working in their favor. Because I know Dawk can tell you, anytime there was a pass, he knew we yelled out pass. And then when the ball was, they knew when the ball was coming, because we yelled out ball.
Army Navy sometimes.
We Army Navy. Y'all switched to Army Navy.
Air Force.
Yeah, we called it jet and cool it up front.
Jet and cool it.
Yes, and then So it's like when you I think it helps out the entire defense, especially when you do that.
I mean, and that's the thing about it. Communication is perfect. And it's good and it's needed in all situations. Anytime you have a relationship, like relationships with your wife, you better be communicating. With your girl, you better be communicating, right? So communication is key. So anytime a problem happens, if you're not communicating, if you're keeping stuff to yourself, if you're keeping secrets, so to speak, that is not conducive to a healthy relationship. And that's what Jim was teaching us as well. Like those small details of just clapping. You're like, man, what's the big deal of clapping? It's about unison. It's about everybody doing the same thing, communicating, so that everybody's on the same page. Because if we're on the same page on a down, even if we make the wrong call, if everybody's playing the same defense, we're right for that down.
Right.
It may not be what we have game plan, but because we're all communicating, we're all talking, and then there's no secrets being kept, right? We're able to then move forward. So this team, and again, not just losing Blankenship, you lost your middle linebacker, right? The week before. So now there's a lot of question marks when it comes to that. But here's the plus to that. This is happening in the beginning of the season.
Right.
So now I think the significance of communication to some of these other young guys understand this. So this will help them in the long run. Like this part of the season where they're losing these guys and they're able to come back, but it's making other guys step into the forefront to take on more responsibility. It will help them in the long run.
Do you have Sean Desai's number? You need to call him.
I'm always available. Same thing I told him. I'm always available. If you want to hit me up, just hit me up.
You need to call him. Sean Desai, hope you're listening. Hope you're watching. You need to give B-Dawk a call, because it makes sense. Makes sense to me. It's not really how we operate on offense. We communicate in the huddle and run the play, but the communication part is spot on. The communication has to be made, and everybody has to be on the same page, so everybody's doing the same thing, operating at the same time, moving in the same direction.
And since we talk about communication, I do want to get one thing out. They keep talking about the Omaha call. by Peyton Manning. We've been doing that Omaha call. What was Omaha? Omaha was to get off of a max blitz. We had a max blitz come up.
Yep, get out of it. Omaha. Get out of it.
Run the base defense. We've been doing that since the early 2000s.
Well, Omaha is changed. It's a change. Omaha, we changed it. Whatever we were doing, we just changed it.
But they was acting like the goofball, the big goofball did it.
He didn't invent it. No, he didn't.
The funniest thing too is like when Dawk was talking about the communication part and about Hurts. I learned something from Jeff Saturday. They really only had like about 4 or 5 plays they ran. But he came up there, he did all those bells and whistles to try to get the secondary to show their hand so he could pick the play that best suited their offense. I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
I know we're staying on this, so basically this probably gonna be what we talk about on this.
This is Dawk Talk. Yeah, this is Dawk Talk.
The communication. So communication this week. Yes. So when you look at those offenses of that time, and you said they only have a couple of plays, I think they probably had a couple more. But even if that was the case, he still did. He was masterful with his play, with his snap counts. Sometimes he would do it and hold it and hold it. Sometimes he would fool you and hit you with that first count, right? So if you're thinking that you're going to be able to disguise it and hold it too long, now he'll hit you with that quick count the next time. You know what I'm saying? And then get you and catch you off guard and hit you across your head. So again, all of these things are some of the things that they're going to have to learn together. Young offensive coordinator, still a young quarterback kind of learning. And then they're still learning what they have in the backfield, like Swift, like you guys mentioned earlier. I didn't know he can do what he did as well, right? To me, he was running angry.
Yes.
He was running angry.
And why was he running angry, Dawk?
Yeah, maybe because he was not getting.
Because he didn't get played. Nobody played him the first game.
Nobody.
I'm gonna show y'all what I got.
I'm gonna show you what I can do. But but again, as long as he's doing that, as long as that offensive line is doing what they're doing, and they're learning on the way. But for me, once again, like this is a team that runs first. It needs to be a team to run first. Don't let analytics get you into thinking that we need to be throwing the ball all over the yard, right? This is a run first offense. I'm not saying you can't go play action on first down. I'm not saying that. But I'm talking about the majority of the time, even if sometimes it's a defense that we know that we might not get a whole lot of yards in the first quarter, we're going to run it against it to let you know we still can get 3 yards off that, right?
Right.
Because in the fourth quarter, when you tie it, that 3 yards going to turn into 8 yards. Going to turn into 8 yards. And with some of the other shifty backs that we have in the backfield, that 8 yard can be turned into a big 50-yard touchdown, right? Because those dudes are winded up front. So that's what I see about this team.
And you're right. That's the foundation. I really think, though, to a certain extent, Sirianni wants to throw the ball. He really wants to throw the ball because at times when you see them getting in a rhythm, running the ball, all of a sudden you'll see it. Just keep running it. If it's being successful, I just got 5 yards. I just got 6 yards. Keep running the ball. You'll see him make a throw. Just they had that long, that 16-play drive, and 13 out of the 16 plays were runs. He threw a couple of passes in there, and they were unsuccessful. You didn't need to do that. Would have scored 2-3 plays earlier if he just kept running the ball. He wants to throw the ball.
The funniest thing, and I don't know if Dawk remembers this, it was one time we were playing somebody, and I think he was either Deuce or Westbrook was getting 4 yards, 5 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards. Big Red threw 3 passes in a row, and the offensive line came off the field pissed off. I was like, oh man, because they was like, run the ball, we killing them. It's like because when you give it's kind of like you let the gas up off of the opposing team defensive line. The funniest thing I saw in that past game was number 91 of Minnesota. They had ran that I think it was a 13 to 16 play drive. They was down in the red in about the 5-yard line. He had one knee on the ground, his other hand was on his hip like this, and then
hanging out.
And so they was calling a check at the line of scrimmage. When the center put his hand on the ball, he put his other hand down and took a fantastic voyage into the back of the Eagle and end zone by one of the wings. I was like, dude.
Listen, correct me if I'm wrong. When a team is running the ball like the Eagles are running the ball on Thursday night, there's nothing more demoralizing to a defense than an offense that's just running the ball and they run it again and they run it again. They're getting 5 yards and 6 yards and 15 yards and 4 yards and they're just running it. And there's nothing more demoralizing than that for a defense. So
ultimately, you know, truth being truth, we weren't built necessarily to stop the run with Jim Johnson's defenses. Like we were basically to get upfield, to shoot a gap, to have these guys shoot gaps and make plays, right? As a gap sound type of a defense. So some of the things that we failed to come up with, some of the stops that we needed, it was during the time of stretch that we lost to 9 games to the New York Giants.
Yes.
And guess what they did the majority of the time? They
ran the
ball. They was running the heck out the ball. And listen, we was doing our best. We do, but there was 3 yards, 4 yards, 8 yards, 3 and you're right. Like when you can't stop that. And you know how frustrating that is on the defense on the field. How frustrating you get.
You know how frustrating it is when you hit them in the backfield and they still stumble and it's a no gain or a 1 yard gain and you be pissed. And it's like the one thing I did love about Jim's defense once we started beating the Giants was the way he adapted to cutting up the run, especially when we had a receiver that required some extra hands in the secondary. The way he cut up the run and just didn't leave us sitting there trying to play 9-on-7 if I'm in the same place every time, eventually they're gonna kick my ass. Excuse the language, but it's like the movements and stuff that we had, it makes it fun. And you cancel out some gaps. That's what
I'm not saying we didn't stop the run because we did, but I'm just talking about literally we weren't built. We didn't have a whole like space eaters, if you will. You know, Tank. I'm not saying you wasn't a space eater because you were, but like big guys, huge guys that basically two gap and just don't move from those spaces. We didn't have that, so we have those movement guys. And Jim did a phenomenal job of run blitzing, and that's something that I don't see a whole lot. Like run blitzes. Anticipating specific runs being ran and then run blitzing into that formation or into that situation to help the defense out. So these are also some things on the defensive side of the ball. I would love to see some implementations of some of these things, some run defenses at times, run blitz, at times.
Have you ever seen at all, whether it was Gannon last year or Decide this year, execute any run blitzes? Do you think they feel as though they don't need to because they do have the big meat eaters up front between Carter and Jordan Davis?
So here's the thing. So with last year, no. This year, I think that the D line is doing such a great job. Sometimes you don't feel like you need to do it. So to me, and I said this last year, it's not a need thing. It's not about a need thing. What it is something else. Well, number one, for the opposing team to now have to game plan against.
Yes, have to worry about.
This is also something that we throw in here to make sure that you just don't tee off on the big guys up front, right? Sometimes you got to keep the big guys clean, right? If we know you're going to be in those spots, to your point, Hollis, then we can do specific things, rub doubles and go to the second level, all that stuff. But we are run blitzing. We'll let you double team this dude, but you messed up because we actually blitzed the middle linebacker in this situation because of your formation, right? So when you add these things to your repertoire, like you become even more dominant. Like you actually help the D lineman out to have more success because now they just can't tee on the lineman. They have to look at the linebacker too. And if you're watching both of us, you're not paying attention to that beast up front, and he's gonna be eating a whole lot more.
Unpredictable. You become non-predictable. You can't just can't just identify it and that's what it's going to be, and we can tee off on it. No. You add more, like you said, more for them to think about, more for them to game plan.
Absolutely.
Even whether you use it or not. They've seen it, so they know it's possible for it to happen. You
had to put them on notice. So
Yep.
Exactly. And then here's the other thing it does. When your front is not getting after it, you've already been running these things, so you're used to the gap responsibility. It's not something new to you. All of a sudden in the Super Bowl, I don't want to listen, Tank. I'm not going back to the Super Bowl. You need to go back into that.
Okay.
It's gone now, right?
Okay, it's gone.
But when you look at their bread and butter was their speed rush, their ability to get one-on-one battles and win. The field changed that. So both teams played on that raggedy field, right?
Right.
And because of if your number one is now not working, you can't beat guys one-on-one because of the field conditions. You have to adjust. You have to add Mike linebacker crosses or something different to the situation to help your chances of pulling out the victory, right? So if you have not been running those things, when you do it in the Super Bowl, the gap, maybe someone, two people are in one gap. And if you got two people in one gap, then there's another gap that's wide open that's probably going to get gassed, right? So, but if you've run these things throughout the year, now when you're asked to then do it in the game, in the crunch time situation, gap, sound, responsibility, and then you possibly get yourself a turnover from that, from that extra bullet that you got in the chamber.
Right. That's good, man. Are y'all getting this? B-Dawk talking football. He was going to come on and give us some philosophy and heart talk and some spiritual encouragement. But no, it all ties together. We know that. I saw the way you tied in the relationship and communication. It's all. You can take pretty much anything in sports and marry it to everyday life.
I agree.
And take it and use it in application in terms of doing things the right way and doing things at a high level, doing things in conjunction and congruent with others. It's teamwork. So it all works together, man. I love you, bro.
Man, so now you got me something popping up in my head.
Oh, see, I know. I'm just playing. Yeah, go ahead. I'm poking the bear.
When you talk about communication on the defensive side of the ball, when you talk about communication, when that motion happened, if nobody says anything, or if someone is overly demanding with the check, and it's two people both of them are being overly demanding that we're going to call this. No, it's this. No, that's. Now you got confusion in the household. So like it was said to me one time that when you got one head or one individual speaking, then that's what you want. But anytime you got two heads, that's the monster, right?
That's a monster.
Two
that's
individuals,
right.
Both of them have a strong opinion, and neither one of them willing to bow to the other one. Now you got a separation. So you got one half of the defense playing one thing, the other half playing another thing, and that's what gashes happen, Jack. That's the same thing in the household. If you don't come to a place of unity, which you can have one voice or one individual being able to have a conversation, not a loud screaming one, but a calm level
playing. A leader. There's got to be a leader.
It has to be a leader. Yes. And that leader in that place is a person that understands that it's not about the win.
Right.
It's about us getting on the same page. That's what it's about. It's not about the team. It's about us getting on the same page.
Because the win will come when you're on the same page.
Yes, because the win will come.
You can't win with a house divided.
No.
Doesn't happen.
House divided against itself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Cannot stand. Cannot stand. Cannot stand.
Yep. And that pride, well, that we'll go there. That pride, well, we're gonna do it my way. No, I'm gonna do it my way. You know what comes after pride? Destruction.
Fall.
Yep.
The fall. Listen, y'all, that was Dawk Talk.
Thanks, Dawk.
This is our man right here, my dude.
Man, I love it.
Right here on A2D Radio on Vetted. This is the only place you're going to see Dawk Talk and hear Dawk Talk here. A2D Radio every other Wednesday. On Thursday, I'm sorry. Every other Thursday, 5 p.m. Dawk Talk right here. Yep. Dawk Talk is brought to you by Royal Billiard Recreation, Colinos Market, and Philly Sports Trip. Yes.
All right. Love y'all, man.
Love you too, man. Thanks, appreciate you. Thank you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. No, actually, we'll see you next week, I think. I think you're on next week.
Is it next week?
Check the schedule. Yeah, I think you're on next week. Check the schedule, though. All right, bro. God bless you. Love you.
Bless you.
All right.
What's that now?
I gotta read. Listen, I gotta read. In 2018, Eagles legend Brian Dawkins, who you just heard from, was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. To commemorate this moment, B-Dawk designed and launched an exclusive collaboration with Bowman Hat Company. Yeah, America's oldest hat maker on hats.com. Brian's love for hats and the Eagles were on proud display in Canton. And now you can find yourself in that same iconic Hall of Fame fedora. Yeah, just go to hats.com and search Brian Dawkins and use the code Philly for 15% off your order. Use code Philly for 15% off your order at hats.com. Thank you, Ralph.
Wow. Thanks, Ralph.
So, big dog, listen, we're behind time, but you gotta read. You have to do, and you got to do some history. You have to do.
Yes,
some history you're going to tell
This
us.
Dead History with Hollis Thomas is brought to you by Philly Sports Trips. Damn Skippy. You need to check out the tailgate tab on phillysportstrips.com. You can still join me and over 500 fans at our tailgate with David Akers in Tampa this Monday night. Excuse me. Today is do you remember the 21st day of September?
Do you remember the 21st night of September? Oh, you was. I'm sorry.
You good? It's the 264th day of the year. There's 101 of these suckers left. Today is national holiday. Is actually Earth, Wind, and Fire Day. Also,
Irving and Fryar. That's Irving and Fryar.
Earth, Wind. Oh, well, yeah, okay. The Miniature Golf Day. It's also Pecan Cookie Day and Free Queso Day. I got a couple of quick events here for you. Today was the very first legal pass in Canadian football was thrown in 1929 on this day. In 1780, Benedict Arnold he committed treason by trying to give over West Point to the British force. In 1957, Nevada was the first site for the nuclear explosions, underground nuclear explosions. 1985, George Clooney appeared on Facts of Life, made his debut on Facts of Life.
You know that song, The Facts of Life, The Facts of Life. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
In 2008, the last baseball game at the historic Yankee Stadium before they did the Yankee Stadium. I got a couple of quick birthdays here. Today is Stephen King's birthday. In 1947, Bill Murray turns 73 today, and Alfonso Ribeiro turns 52. And a special shout out to my great aunt Bobby. Today she turned 91.
Happy birthday, Aunt Bobby.
Yeah, so it's like
wow.
That's what I got for you from sports that is brought to you by Philly Sports Trips. Go to phillysportstrips.com and hit the tailgate tab and join me and over 500 fans, including David Akers, down at Monday Night Football this week in Tampa Bay versus the Buccaneers, where we're going to kick Baker Mayfield's ass to Kasha.
Boy, is that a real word?
It's not really. It's just
spell it. Can you spell it?
Not really. I got it from Revenge of the Nerds, like when I was like 10. When I was like 10 years old.
You've been saying that since you were 10 years old?
Yes, but not in front of my parents.
Did you ever say it on the field? Did you just look at somebody when you knocked them down on the field? You stood over them and you said, "I just knocked you on your astrocoster."
Nah, I normally just smile and laugh at them. So you thought you was gonna win, huh?
You crazy, man.
We all got aspirations.
Well, listen, the Eagles have aspirations for Monday night, and that is to be victorious over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and to end up leaving Florida 3 wins and 0 losses.
Yes.
What's your prediction?
My prediction for this game is I think we win 24-14. I feel like our defense is going to come out and stifle. They haven't scored more than 20 points this entire season, the Buccaneers. And I feel like their offensive line is decimated by injuries. They were just happy to get a call out, their offensive line was. And so I feel like they're going to get a couple with Godwin and Evans. They got a decent running game, but their offensive line kind of stinks. I think the 24 points is going to come from our offense. And our offense is going to get some retribution from the last 2 times we played this particular defense coordinator.
Okay, I agree that they're going to win. It's an away game. Mm-hmm. They've had 11 days off, which is a good thing. I think that the defense is going to put enough pressure on Baker Mayfield. He hasn't thrown an interception. That we're going to get a couple of takeaways down in Tampa Bay. It's going to be a real good game for us. This team offensively is going to start clicking a little bit better. We're going to see a little bit more out of the passing game, I believe, with this extra time that they had to study what happened the first 2 weeks with the defenses, and in anticipation of what Todd Bowles is going to do with that Tampa Bay defense. I think they're going to be ready, and we're going to see a little bit more of what the Eagles looked like last year than what we've seen them look like this year. So I think the Eagles are going to score 35, and the Tampa Bay will be 17, 35-17. My score. All right,
sounds good.
All right, I think that's going to be good. We'll be both down there. I'll see you at the game, man.
Yeah, I see you.
When are you leaving?
I don't leave till Tuesday.
No, I mean, when are you leaving to go down to the game?
Tomorrow.
On
a charter jet.
Oh, that's I'm not going on just like the Vikings game. You were up in the box with the big wigs. Yes. I was down in the end zone with the bottom dwellers. So I'm not flying on a charter. I'm flying on a commercial jet. I'm not getting there till Saturday, but I am leaving Tuesday. It's okay. It's okay.
I mean, it's Hollywood Hogan and everybody by the time you get there.
I'll see you there.
I'll see you there.
I'm supposed to have lunch with guess who? Grudol.
Chris Carter?
No, Grudol.
Grudol? Oh, okay. Let me know. I might want to stop by and say what's up to Grudol.
I'll give you a shout. Okay. I'll give you a shout. All right. I'll let you know.
Cool.
Listen, you saw it here. You heard it here. A2D Radio. This is vetted. We had Dawk Talk today, y'all. It don't get no better than that.
Nope.
We'll see you next week right here, same time, Thursday, 5 p.m. No, actually, next week is Thursday. We might be on Friday. We'll let you know.
Next week is his birthday. So he's going to be partying like a rock star in Nebraska. And we're going to push it to Friday. I'll get everybody the times. But if you subscribe, you will get the notification. So subscribe, and then you'll be standing live. And happy early birthday to my guy.
Yeah, I'm getting old, man. But yeah, next Thursday is my birthday. So we won't be on. I'll be in Nebraska. We won't be on next Thursday, but we'll probably be on Friday. But, if you subscribe, you'll find out when. But we will be back next week right here on A2D Radio, vetted, Irving Fryar, and Hollis Thomas. See